Hey, this is me building and strategizing a $2 million a year business in public. Last month I made 139K. Next month I want to hit 167K. That's my goal. And the way that these daily updates work are I start with some QA where I cover more or less some questions I've received in the last 24 hours. That's this section right here. Then I do some growth stats, aka I go over all of my brands. Got some very juicy updates for you there. Regarding follower count specifically on Instagram. God damn, I went viral yesterday. Then finally, we're going to cover some live strategy. And I have a couple tasks that I'm going to want to run you guys through today. So this is not the channel. This is the channel. And I'm going to go to community and scroll all the way down to the bottom, grab some questions, grab some answers, hopefully give you guys a ton of value. So Oliver Fordham says, "Hey, Nick, I think your videos are great. Your proposal system has made me good money." Just good money, Oliver? Not great. Just kidding. Your proposal system has made good money. Two good questions. Number one, in terms of processes to automate, which do you prioritize? Would it be outreach, nurturing, closing, onboarding, or fulfillment in your opinion? Number two, I'm building a long-term business loosely tied to the automation niche at the moment, possibly looking for fundraising in the future. Do you see a benefit in me recording my process of building up the business, almost like these daily updates? So let me answer that second question right off the bat. Are you making money? If you're making maybe more than $10,000 a month right now, then sure. It is worth you spending a little bit of time to document your growth. Spend less time than I do, of course, as a proportion of my daily income, 10,000, what, 1/14th or something like that, right? So spend less time than I'm doing, but sure, document it. Do like a 5-minute daily update loom, going over everything that you're working on. The value there is you're going to have transcripts that you can easily use to generate like better content in the future regarding that if you wanted to, I don't know, write a book or something. So there's a benefit for sure, but don't get caught up in the recording and don't let that stop you from making money. So if you're below maybe 10K a month, and these are loose figures here, 5 figures, I don't really know what your number is, and maybe you live in a different place, so your cost of living is different. But if you're below that amount, you tend to care a lot more about short-term things like your revenue. And there are straight line paths to making money than just yapping on YouTube all day. That's for sure. So I do see a benefit. Just make sure that you don't put the cart before the horse, get so sucked into the content production process, which a lot of people take a lot of time to do, that pulls away from what you're actually attempting to accomplish here, which is to print loads of money, jump in big swimming pools of cash. In terms of processes to automate, which do you prioritize? Would it be outreach, nurturing, closing, onboarding, or fulfillment in your opinion? I don't really I don't personally think of it like that. Like I don't break them down, but just for the sake of the question, you should, it's not necessarily that you should automate first. I think what I would do is I would try and process optimize first. Like don't look for things to automate. Don't be driven by oh, I need to automate something, so therefore let me find the best thing to automate, right? Like your default shouldn't necessarily be automating. It should be building up as effective of a process as possible. And then only if that process, is automatable, and if there's a lot of value in you automating that process, then actually go to automating it. So, do you have an established outreach system up and running? Do you have an established outreach process? If so, and it's making you money, automating it can help put fuel on the fire, as long as you're not automating the wrong thing, like actually responding to clients, for instance. Do you have an established nurturing process set up? Do you have an established closing process set up? I mean, definitely, probably you're not going to be able to automate the closing unless you have some sort of AI robot from 50 years in the future. Well, 5 years in the future, that'll come back and close your clients for you. This is probably one of the highest leverage parts of your business, right? Onboarding, do you have an established onboarding process? Fulfillment, do you have an established fulfillment process? Don't jump to make everything robotic process automated right off the bat. Make sure that you do the whimsical mind map. Make sure you draw out sort of what you want your process to look like. Let me scroll all the way down to the bottom here. And then and only then look at your thing and be like, I can automate this. For example, here's an onboarding process. Just a simple one that I'm going to write. So client payment trigger. So maybe this happens in Stripe or something. And then after the payment occurs, maybe you create ClickUp folder for client. And then maybe afterwards you create ClickUp list for client. And then afterwards you create standardized onboarding tasks for client. Right. So these are tasks that occur in your project manager immediately after a client is onboarding. You don't necessarily need to automate them. You just need to know what they are beforehand. You need to make sure they slot into your process. Maybe then send client onboarding email with link to calendar. And then maybe what happens is upon booking, update status of client record to onboarding call booked, right? Then take onboarding call, or maybe during onboarding call, fill out onboarding form, and maybe upon onboarding form fill, I don't know, like send creative brief to AI and have it pre-generate, assets. So maybe then create Google Doc. Maybe then you automatically create Google Slide. Actually, we could probably do this just in one, couldn't we? Yes, we can. Create a Google Doc. Maybe afterwards you create a Google Slide presentation. Maybe that's something you're doing for the client, right? Maybe afterwards you, I don't know, create some sort of like tracking doc or something. I'm going general for agencies here, not just AI automation agencies, but I just wanted to give you an idea as to the processes that you might build for, let's say, onboarding. So then, let's say now we have this process, right? And it's a cool process. I mean, something like this is pretty similar to something that I've developed for my own company and for a lot of 7- and 8-figure agencies before as well, to be honest. I mean, the 8-figure agencies usually have this process. It's not like I'm like whipping it up from scratch, but I usually add a couple things on here, like creating assets using AI, for instance, and adding those to folders and so on and so forth. Once you make it to the step, now you start asking, okay, great. So I have an established process that works and that makes me and my company money. What can I automate within this to make my life better? So obviously client payment trigger, right? So, maybe manually right now you're like going through and you get like a notification on your phone. You're like, oh, okay, we're ready to go. I just sent the payment over, and then that manual step starts this. Well, you have the ability to automate this using some sort of like webhook driven thing, right? So now what you do is you have some webhook in Make that you catch a client payment trigger, like maybe payment intent succeeded or something. Then create the ClickUp folder for the client. Well, you go and you check, does ClickUp have endpoints available for you to do this? Can you create a ClickUp list for the client using a ClickUp endpoint? Like basically you go through your pre-established processes, the ones that actually make you money. And then you're like, okay, well, I can actually automate, like, I don't know, how many steps are this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, let's say, hypothetically. So I don't know, I can automate 7 out of 9 steps. And then maybe, there are a couple steps that you can't automate. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you can't actually create the ClickUp folder or the ClickUp list via API or something like that, okay? So then what you do is now maybe in your automated process, it has to differ from this process. You actually have to like, I don't know, send a Slack notif to your project manager or something. And then all of a sudden they're the thing that then triggers this next half, which is capable of being fully automated. So yeah, roundabout way of me answering your question, I know, but I just wanted to make it abundantly clear that like, don't start with automating things first. Start with building processes that make money. Do the things that don't scale right off the get-go just to make sure that like they do make money. And then once you've made money, then you can automate the hell out of these processes, scale them up and so on and so forth. That's personally how I approach things. I obviously have a lot of people that come to me and they're like, hey, I really want to automate my business. How do we do it? And I'm like, all right, well, what are you doing right now? And then they're like, well, I don't really have anything right now. And I'm like, all right, well, let's start somewhere. And then once you have that, then we can worry about it. Okay, Jahangir says, as always, great content, great value. Just for everyone who sees this comment, I started with an automation company 6 months ago, learned most of the things I know through Nick's videos. Today, my company is generating 15,000 euros MRR. Great work. Love to see it. Thank you, Nick. We talk in Maker School. Been busy with the company for some time, not that active in the community. Sad face. It's okay. You just sent me a message, actually, after writing this comment or maybe before. So we connected and things are going well. I believe it is Taekwondo, and he's preparing for some big championship. So keep it up, my man. Thank you very much for dropping the comment. Appreciate the wins post as well. Mark says, sometimes it's hard to start presenting. Oh, he's quoting me. Yeah, it is weird how that works, eh? Funny story, I'm going to have a call with Mark later today, so that's going to be pretty fun. Moby the Whale says, when you say Loom personalized videos are the best form of cold outreach, are you referring to applying to jobs on Upwork? Partially. For cold email, I've always heard videos and links and attachments in the initial cold email are a surefire way to land in spam. Thoughts? And then Mohammed says, I have the same question. I will give both you guys a like, no problem. Yeah, so listen, it's a good, you're right, but it's not all or nothing. Like, most people think that email deliverability is like this. I don't like how this is not very thick. Most people think email deliverabilities are like, email deliverabilities like this. It's either spam or it's not spam, right? And you want to avoid all the things that make you spam, and you want to only be in the not spam camp, right? Like if we have two buckets, right? The spam bucket and then the not spam bucket. Obviously, you want to avoid the spam bucket and be in the not spam bucket. But in reality, it's not really like that. It's kind of like this. It's like a sliding scale of spam and then not spam. So, for instance, if like this is like the median email, if you were to add a link to your email, the likelihood of your email being marked as spam is going to negatively impact your email. So now you're kind of over here, right? But then hypothetically, let's say that you're really, really good at copywriting. You write the best copy ever. So now the likelihood of your email being marked as spam is kind of over here, despite the fact that, you have links in your email. But then let's say on top of that, you decided, I don't know, I kind of want some pictures in my email. So now you're kind of over here. But then let's say hypothetically, I don't know, you have like the best setup ever, and you have some big, super cool warm-up process that I don't even really know or do, and you're only emailing like the best list on planet Earth that's like super validated. Well, now your deliverability might be over here, and you're more likely to land in not spam. So I guess the point that I'm making is like, yeah, when you add links to your emails, it does decrease the probability that you are going to be all good to go and your email will be delivered. But if you think about it, like if I added a Loom video in my email and then that Loom video was amazing and it was incredibly high value, and then I knocked it out of the park, and then the customer loved it or the prospect loved it and they responded to me, and I typically had a very high response rate and an open rate and all that stuff. I'm willing to take the hit on the deliverability if it means that I can make that up on the back end. And likewise, you can also do things like instead of sending 25 or 30 emails a day, okay, maybe you send, I don't know, maybe you send 5 or 10 emails a day. So now if you think about it, that makes your email, that makes the mail service even more likely to register as a real email because the daily number of emails sent per specific mailbox are lower. So you can actually do this in kind of a nuanced way. Like you don't have to go all or nothing, right? Like you don't have to make every one of your campaigns be the Loom video one, or every one of your mailboxes also be sending Loom videos as links. What you can do is in Instantly or Smart Lead or whatever, you can create a bunch of different campaigns, and you could have like one campaign called like Loom video link thing or whatever, and then have that campaign only send from a couple of mailboxes, hypothetically, right? So then you can track the deliverability decrease of only those mailboxes, and if there are impacts, then you only do it to those, if that makes sense. There are built-in settings on Instantly and a bunch of other tools to do all that, but yeah, that would be my I guess those are my 2 cents. And yeah, I am referring to applying to jobs on Upwork with Loom videos, being like, like in term, when I say Loom video, I mean like applying to jobs on Upwork, sending them through Instagram DMs, sending them through Twitter DMs, LinkedIn, connection requests, and emails. Loom videos right now are just like the way that everybody is making a ton of money because the bar for personalization just goes up and up and up and up. And, if you can do some really cool thing and make an asset for a customer or solve some problem that they didn't even know they had, and if you're willing to put the time in to record a customized video before you even reach out to them, the people on the other end of the line usually feel like you've really respected their time. They're a lot more likely to actually watch the whole Loom video and then a lot more likely to actually get back to you. So as the bar increases, obviously, we're trending towards a world where people put a premium on authenticity, transparency, and then like personalization. Okay, Tyrone says, thanks, my beast. Could you give a quick rundown on how to stop Apify from scraping duplicate results? As in, I'd like each scrape to contain fresh results only. So yeah, for sure. This is going to depend on the specific thing that you're doing with Apify, though, I will say. Like it's going to depend on the specific scraper that you're using. It's going to depend on the specific actor that you are running, but let me give you an example from something I'm doing right now, actually. Should be scraping my Instagram reels, right? Right now I'm tracking all of my fan pages to get my total number of views per day. So here are 5 YouTube channels, Best of Nick Saraev Moments, Nick Saraev Clip, Nick Saraev Videos, Reels of Nick Saraev. If you want to check out a couple of these, Best of Nick Saraev right over here. Okay, you see these? So what I've done is I've basically taken these and I've pumped these into an Apify scraper. Then all it does is just like scrapes all the videos, counts up the number of views, and then basically, like adds it to the sheet, and then I can get the total. And basically what I'm trying to do is I just want to get like a list of growth over time, just so I can like verify, am I making money on this? Is this making sense? I should also probably do subscribers now that I'm thinking about it, because why the hell am I tracking just views if I can also track subscribers with one? API call. Anyway, so the way that I do it is using this Apify scraper called Fast YouTube Channel Scraper. Looks like this. The way that it works is you basically just pump in your YouTube channel URLs. Okay. Then you can set the maximum number of shorts that you want to scrape. So in my case, I just set this to unlimited. I scrape all of them. And then after you're done, you get stuff like this, right? So this is me scraping my own shit, my own stuff, pardon my French. And that's pretty cool. But hypothetically, let's say I was doing this and then I wanted to add to a database, okay? So let's say, and I'm going to use make.com for this. The exact same principle applies for N8N or something. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to set up my data here as an example, okay? So I'm going to have some JSON being JavaScript object notation if you're unfamiliar with it, and I'm just going to write my own and then I'm going to parse it. The reason why I'm going to write my own and then parse it is because I want to be able to access this within my make editor. If that doesn't make sense to you, then it's okay. I'll show you what I mean. Let's call this array, and I'm going to create an array, okay? And then I wish we had automatic indentation, but we don't. And then I'm just going to have like a couple of items in here, okay? I'm going to call this Nick Saraev. Then who else we got here? Okay, Nick Saraev. I'll call it Tyrone or Tyron. Hopefully I'm not just butchering your name, my man. I think it's, okay, let me just open this up. Oh yeah, it's Tyrone Staben, not Esteban. Okay. Let's do Mark. Oh, how the hell do I spell that? Just go. That's a rough one, buddy. That is a rough one, but I won't let that stop me. Okay, hopefully. I think it's Mark J. Zimansky or something. Anyway, whatever. I've already accepted that I will be canceled. Okay, and then the source is not valid JSON. Right, why is the source not valid JSON? I have an array over here. Right, probably need to add quotes here, dummy. Okay, so now I have this array with 3 items, right? So pretend this is coming from Apify. Okay. Oh, actually, there's also one more thing, which I'll show you in a second. So let's just pretend this is the Apify get dataset items actor, okay? And now, let's say I have a Google Sheet. So I'm going to go over to a Google Sheet, and what I'm going to do is I'll just make one really quickly. Sheets.new. Did we have my email set up? Okay, Rock asked me a bunch of questions about something. Let's call this like example DB for Tyrone. Perfect. I'm going to share this now, just because I figure some people here are probably going to want to see it at some point. And then I have the ID. So I'm going to go back here. I'm just going to select the right account. Then I could search by path. I'm just going to enter manually for the purposes of this. I'll go sheet 1, and then we'll just go A to Z column range. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add some rows, right? So I don't know. I'm just going to have one. It's going to be A, and then over here, it's just going to be like name. All right. So I'm basically adding, and this is an array right now. I need to iterate through it. But basically, I'm going to add the specific person. Let's just do this for now. And I'm going to add them to my Google Sheet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Google Sheet as the database, and I'm going to implement basically deduplication on the Google Sheet level. So I'm going to run it. I'm going to add it. Now we see Nick Saraev is in the database, right? All right. So let's now iterate. We have one array here, but what we want is we want multiple bundles. So I want to be able to run this Google Sheets module once per bundle. I'm going to want to run it once for Nick, once for Tyrone, once for Mark. So I'm going to feed in this array. And now if I just disconnect this, and then if I run this, what we're doing now is we're running this 3 times. First time for Nick, second time for Tyrone, third time for Mark. Okay. I'm going to connect this puppy. And now, what do you think should happen realistically? If I put in value here, well, I just said it's going to run 3 times, right? So this is now an example of a situation that Tyrone is in, where he's already plucked some data from Apify, Nick Saraev, and he's adding a bunch of new data to Apify. What he wants is, so that if Nick Saraev already exists in the thing, not to add it in, okay? So I'm going to run it once without the logic I'm going to implement, just to show you guys how it's currently working for him, and then I'm going to show you how I would implement logic to fix this. So if I run this once, we add Nick Saraev again, then Tyrone Staben, and then Mark J. Zimansky, right? So now I'm going to delete this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to implement a little bit of logic just to make sure that I'm not adding duplicate records to my Google Sheet. In order to make this happen, we need to use search rows. So I'm going to go search rows here. And the value in search rows is, what you can do is you can set up a filter so that if a value exists in the database if and only if a value exists in the database, do you proceed? And that is the value in this approach. So I'm going to go down a sheet. Now I'm selecting this using Drive, not manually like I was doing before, just for demonstrative purposes. And you see how it says filter, this equal to this? Let me show you what happens if I just don't select anything. Like if you've never used the Google Sheets search rows module, if you right click this, it's just going to grab all of the elements currently in my sheet, except for the header row, right? So Nick Saraev's currently in my sheet. That's why I'm grabbing Nick Saraev over here. Makes sense, right? But now let's add a filter where the only time I want to return something is if the name is equal to some value I'm feeding in, like Nick Saraev, okay? I'm going to set the limit of this to 1. Then what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to add some logic and I'll say, hey, have you found anything in our database that matches the value that I'm feeding in? If so, I want you to filter it out. So the only position in which I'm going to proceed is if the total number of bundles, that is the total number of outputs from my search rows filter, is equal to 1. So I'm going to say new, question mark. It's going to be my filter. Then over here, assuming that it is new, we're going to add it. If it's not, then we won't. Let's give this a run. I fully believe the reason why this needs to be equal to 0. I believe the reason why I only got 1 here, as opposed to multiple, is because, yeah, that filter was inverse set. My bad. So we're going to run this again. What are we seeing? It's going to run once for Nick at the very beginning. It's going to see that Nick already exists in the database, so it's going to stop the run. Then it's going to run for Tyrone. It'll see that Tyrone is not in the database, so it'll continue and add him. Then it'll run for Mark. Then it's going to see that Mark is not in the database, and then it'll run and add him. Okay? And what does that actually look like here? Well, it looks like, we grab the Apify get dataset items module, which is this one here. Then we iterate through them. You don't have to iterate through them with the get dataset items module because it automatically iterates. So kind of the position of where this would actually be for Tyrone would be right over here. Then we search through the Google Sheet 3 times. First time is for Nick. Second time is for Tyrone. We don't get anything for Tyrone. Third time is for Mark, and we don't get anything for Mark because, they're not in the database yet. And then we have a filter here, which checks to see, how many matches were there in the previous step. Well, in the first step, there was a match. This was equal to 1, but the second step, it was equal to 0. Third step is equal to 0. We actually proceeded for the latter 2. Now, let me do this one more time to show you, now that we have all 3 of these entries in here, what's going to happen if I run this? Well, if I run this, what you'll see is nothing is going to make it through the filter because we've actually just double checked to see if those 3 entries already exist, and they do. But hypothetically, if I were to add a new record, let's say Peter Smith to this, if I run this again, what we'll see is the first 3 are going to be blocked, but the last one's going to go through. And so now we have Peter Smith here. Makes sense, right? And then the last thing I'll show you, Tyrone, is this get dataset items. It also has the ability to offset, okay? Maximum number of items to return. Sorry, a limit is different from offset, but it actually has an ability to offset. So another thing that you could do is if you're convinced that the data is always new every time you scrape or something, you could just add an offset every single time. Let's say in the previous run, you scraped 100. Well, now you just offset the results by 100. So your results are going to start at the 100th place, if that makes sense. You can do a variety of these sorts of methods in order to, deduplicate or, get new data or whatever. But that's one of them. And this is personally what I use. Hopefully that makes sense. So you definitely need some sort of no-code tool. Okay, Anas says, hey Nick, your daily updates really helped me pave the way for my success in AI automation. Hell yeah. I can constantly find myself in a loop or whatever, circling around who and what to sell. This gets me distracted a lot. I got to drink this protein shake because I haven't eaten anything today. So how can I get out of this rut? I have the most experience in content automation and a background in content marketing as an editor. When I move to selling this, I get in the rut again on who to sell to, outreach method, loom bids, and emails. Okay. Listen, I understand. I think the reason why so many people struggle with this is because they think that the thing that they are selling is more important than who they are selling it to. Like you're really worried about what to sell. And I think you being worried about what to sell is kind of the same problem as the who and what to sell. The reality is it doesn't really matter what you sell. Okay. It also doesn't really matter who you sell to. You're never going to figure all of this out ahead of time. You're never going to know until you start. So the only way to actually know, to actually get some sort of real answer, because I could sit here and I could tell you, oh, do this, do that, do that. That stuff's going to be invalidated in like 2 months because the market changes fast, and then you're going to be broke as hell again, right? But the only way to really know is basically just to throw a bunch of shit at the wall and see what sticks. If you don't make any progress on this, you will never solve your problem of finding out who and what to sell. So you have to move forward on this, and you have to, put together some offers and then just start putting them in front of real human beings to see which ones work the best. Because right now, I mean, like, yeah, you're basically trying to work entirely off of opinion. If you were to send 100 Loom videos, which is doable, it's 50 minutes a day for 10 days, 5 minutes per Loom video, right? If you were to do that 100 Loom videos in the next week, which again, I guess week and a half, which again is very doable, and you could do this, watching today before March the 17th, you would know more than I would know in terms of how to answer this specific question for you. So that'd be my recommendation. Like, get some templates that you've seen me and other people across my communities and maybe YouTube videos and maybe other people's YouTube videos. Get some things that you've seen people sell, and then go to a bunch of people via Loom video, via cold email, via Upwork, and then record a video going through their stuff and basically saying, hey, I think I could make you a little bit more money with a quick system that solves X, Y, and Z problem. Here's how it works. No pressure at all, but let me know if you want me to build it for you. Okay. And then, yeah, just do that 100 times over the course of the next 10 days and then get back to me. And then assuming that, you've actually done it, you actually have something in front of you, then feel free to follow up on this comment or another one with progress. And then we can actually figure out, okay, cool. So of the 3 things you did, which one was the highest performer, which one got us the best result? And we could take it there. Like, man, it's so easy for people in my shoes just to say, oh, you should do this. But the reality is never that simple. The reality is never black or white. And yeah, I just wouldn't really trust somebody that could just rattle something off that quickly. And even if that worked, it would work for like a couple of weeks before it was ultimately invalidated. You always have to be iterating, right? All right, so let me do some brand stats here. I'm going to call it for the Q&A. Hopefully you guys appreciated that. Had a lot of fun putting all that together. Let's go to March the 6th, March the 7th, I should say. I think this was called Blast Up, right? There we go. I'm going to check my new follower count. Whoa, 34,426. Whoa, that's big. So my Instagram has gained 2,737 followers in the last 24 hours. Pretty crazy. My daily updates channel has gained 1,328. That's pretty good. 56 followers in the last 24 hours. You know why? Because I was a little bit sneaky. Let me show you what I mean by sneaky. And some of you guys are obviously from what I'm about to show you, so I appreciate that. This video here that I just posted yesterday, my worst mistakes running an AI automation agency, I posted the daily update channel directly underneath the CTA to Maker School. So that's pretty cool. And that's probably where I got like an additional 30 or so people from. People that like that content that I got subscribers from, either new people or old people that were like, hey, I like this Nick guy. He's doing stuff every day. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, so things are obviously going really well. Yeah, I'm kind of curious of how close I am to getting monetized on this again. I mean, I know I mentioned it a bunch of times, but let's see. What am I at? Like, one of the coolest things ever, Matt and I always talk about this, but man, how dope would it be if you could just like have your entire living expenses and everything paid completely just through YouTube ads? Like, that's nuts. And to be honest, I'm kind of already there. My monthly expenses, like for living, they're like abysmally low. I don't know, it's like $3,500 or something. So you can't take the immigrant out of me, I suppose, what with my family's hard time, but the revenue already covers me. But how cool would it be if, it covered me and then some, right? That'd be pretty sweet. So all right, well, don't click the wrong button and sign out of your YouTube account. Yeah, so that's that. Let's do a little bit of strategy. I mean, yeah, like, just to pontificate about this, like, the growth is obviously, look at this. This is going to happen way sooner than we thought. This could happen in like the next 2 weeks, realistically, next week and a half. So not to pontificate too much about this. Oh, and then yeah, my clips channels are doing okay. The Instagram's like stalling for sure. My current Instagram guy, my current major Instagram channel, which is, ooh, I signed out again. Yeah, I knew that would happen. He says that we should be doing hashtags better, and he has a bunch of other tips. So we'll see what happens with that. But I'm pretty excited. It looks like I gained like 8 Instagram followers in the last like 2 minutes, man. That's crazy. So anyway, let's do my daily strategy here. I don't want this video to drag on too much, but yeah, I got a couple things. I've really been so I went and I did a bunch of the tasks that I did. I also set up a personal category here because I realized I don't really want a bunch of people to see my tasks that are buy boxers, you know, whatever I've had for the last couple of weeks. So I decided to set up a personal category for those. And anything business related, I'll just keep an inbox. But this is basically my to-do list right now. So I still haven't removed the 1-second copy sign up from the website. I got caught up recording that video yesterday, and then I had a client message come in, not in the middle of the night, but like pretty close to when I was going to fall asleep, and then I just didn't have the time. So I'm going to do that today. I've also added a few new tasks. Update old YouTube titles with what I now know about YouTube. So check this out. If I go back to, ooh, fuck, I really got to sign in, don't I? Yeah, I do. Oh man, I signed out of everything. Unbelievable. Jesus. Do not sign out of your YouTube account. Why am I getting recommended dudes boxers? No, thank you. Let's grab some more League of Legends videos, shall we? That would be a little better. I don't know if you guys fuck with League of Legends at all, but I've been watching this guy called Baus, the Baus FFS. It's like this really nerdy, I don't know if he's Swedish or something like that, but like he's so funny. I used to play this game called League of Legends way back in the day. And he's like the funniest guy on freaking planet Earth, man. It's insane. And he's really good at it too. I think I'm starting to realize now like why my father watched so much soccer growing up, because he played soccer when he was younger. Like, you know, I don't think he was professional or anything, just like I was not a professional gamer. But seeing people that are really good at something that you used to do is just very interesting to watch, realistically. So, yep, I've been binging the baboose. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about with my YouTube stuff, okay? Check this out. How to service your first AI automation agency client in 2024, right? Well, obviously the analytics aren't going to be that good for this because 2024, but check this out. So when I posted it, I had that massive spike initially, right? But check this out. This video has been consistently performing every freaking day for the last 200 days. What this means is, basically, this isn't like evergreen, but it's actually pretty close to evergreen. If you go back to your old YouTube videos and you see that the slope of the line is straight, okay, think about it this way. If I could theoretically increase this, if I at the beginning could have increased the slope of this line even 1 degree, I would have been, that's actually inaccurate. I would have been up here, okay? I would have basically had like I had like 30% more views or something. Like imagine, extrapolate this into the future, okay? If I have one line here, then I have another line over here, you know how many views that is? That's like another 18K. And so what is the slope of a line in YouTube? The slope of a line in YouTube is basically how quickly you get views over time. And then how quickly you get views over time is directly correlated to 2 things, okay? The first is your YouTube title. And then the second is your YouTube thumbnail. These things are both responsible for basically views over time on old content. Because YouTube, from my understanding, after a content hits a certain amount of age, you sort of have like an equal probability of it being shown in search results and stuff, right? So if I can improve the titles and the thumbnails of my old content that I created before I knew anything about like, you know, making good content or making really catchy thumbnails or making really catchy titles, I can increase the slope of that line for years. And then I can grow my channel like 30% faster because I have so much evergreen content, right? So much. So yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is that's one thing that I realized. So I have, if I go over here and then I set my filter to visibility and then public, it says I have 145. Let me actually check the actual YouTube channel here. Okay, I have 162 public videos, right? So basically what I need to do is I just need to go through, I don't know, maybe like the last, let's say the last, maybe not the last like 30. So maybe I'll go through 132 videos. And then I have to optimize or try and change or tweak the titles of 132 videos. And then what I think I can do to like really give myself some staying power here is if you go way back, my first few videos, they had pretty crappy thumbnails, I think. I mean, I don't know. I think that this is a pretty shitty thumbnail now that I know what I know about thumbnails. Sure, they might have performed okay at the time, but I think like the market is also moving away from these sorts of thumbnails too. And it's not that I care about like looking cringy and stuff. I just don't think that like was the best idea. So what I think I can do is I can go through some of my super evergreen stuff, like my make.com basics, no unnecessary fluff video. And then like, look, I even had like a re-spike over here. Isn't that cool? Anyway, I can go through this and then I can like increase the slope of the line a little bit so that in a year from now, right, I have, I don't know, 200,000 views on this as opposed to like 120,000. And then those additional views, especially in the evergreen stuff, like basically I have like 80 funnels right now, or 162 funnels, okay? Like 1, 2, 3, whatever, all the way up to 162. And all of these are funneling into this one metric, which I really give a shit about, which is ultimately my subscriber count. So if I can improve all of these by 10%, let's say hypothetically, my sub count, it's not just going to go up by 10%. 10% more views on this mean that I will be recommended in the algorithm more, not just to the 10% of subscribers, but to an additional certain number of subscribers. So me hitting 10% on one video is like me improving 12% on another video, 14% on another video, 20%, 30%, 50%. I think if I can hit a 10% increase in the slope of that line, okay, like if this is me before, and then this is me after, I think if I can hit like a 10% increase, I think I could realistically improve my sub count by like 30% over the course of the next, before 2026. So I was just having that thought and I was realizing like, hey man, you're sitting on a freaking gold mine. What are you doing? And I basically don't think anybody's doing this. Or if they are, they're just not really thinking about it as deeply as I am. So I think there's a good opportunity there. And that's definitely something I'm going to be doing. So yeah, that's something that I want to do. I mean, I spent a lot of time talking about this. I could have actually just gone through and done it, but just wanted to make the strategy really clear. And then to set up a default profile for daily updates, I just realized right as I was starting this video that like in order for me to do the daily updates really effectively, I just need to have like a few tabs open, like my daily updates Excalibur tab, for instance, and then my YouTube channel, which I'm setting to this page as opposed to my daily updates page because I want to front load with social proof. I think if the first few seconds of my video, people see that I have 57,000 subscribers as opposed to 1,000, people that don't know me will be like, oh, wait a second, who the hell is this guy? Doesn't he only have 1,000 subs? Wait a second. They'll kind of like pause and like their brains will explode and then they'll be more likely to continue watching. So I'm going to have that. And then I also want to have like a make.com scenario editor and then an N8N scenario editor up. I think that'd be really valuable just so that I could solve problems like Tyrone's in less time. So what I'm thinking of doing is I think in Chrome, do you set up like a tab profile or something? Or could you like default tabs? You know, like multiple default or startup tabs. Like I think that's basically what I want to do. So I want to, yeah, like I'm probably going to watch this video and a couple of other ones and just figure out how to open up multiple tabs on startup, where like the second that I launch this, that's from 2012. That's not relevant. Let's go after 2024. Yeah, so I'm going to figure out a way to do this. And then like anytime I do daily updates, I'll just click a button. All my daily update tabs will open. Anytime I do like a YouTube video, all my YouTube video tabs will open. Main channel YouTube video, all my YouTube videos will open, and so on and so forth, just so that I have a variety of ways to do this. And it's a little bit easier for me. Aside from that, one thing that I think I'm going to start doing tomorrow is I'm going to just start building this in public, the website, because I've just really been dragging my feet on it and it's just very difficult for me to find time. So probably over the course of the next couple of weeks, I'm just going to have like my daily strategy be this website development or design. So I'm actually going to go through and just like design my own website, and I'll just do it all in public. Probably like 10 minutes one day, 15 minutes another day, 30 minutes another day. I'll like do the design part, and then I'll do the copywriting part, and I'll do another section, and so on and so forth. That sounds like it'd be pretty fun and enjoyable. I don't know. If I'm wrong, somebody let me know. Yeah, you can call me a moron. I don't want to watch you design websites all day. What the hell? But I need to get this done. So that's a good and easy way for me to batch the time that I spend doing this. Cool. I think that's that. If anybody has any questions about this, let me know. Also, if you want me to answer your own question, you're still here at the end, then just let me know. Like, drop it down below. I'm more than happy to. It's part of the engagement strategy of the channel, and obviously it helps me build strong relationships with people. Not entirely altruistically, of course. I do love giving, but a lot of the guys that I answer questions to, they just join my programs, right? So strategically, from my perspective, I get like an infinite bank of FAQs and questions. I get a improved engagement on YouTube. Like, it is really like a funnel of all mother funnels, basically. So yeah, if you like this stuff, join Maker School, day-by-day accountability program that gets you from zero to your very first automation customer. Then if you already have a company, check out makemoneywithmake.com, where we scale you even further, 25K and beyond. Thanks so much for your time. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody tomorrow.